I said I wasn't gonna get it, but I got it. Yay for self-control. Today I'm inclined to do some swatches and see if this is a worthy purchase. So let's go. This color over here, Courtship. Very light blue base, shifting from a blue to a green to a gold. Next is Big Belly. I'm inclined to swatch these because many of them look very similar in the pan. Okay, so this has more of a turquoise to a lavender shift. These will be hard to catch on camera, but here they are. Next we have Tiger Tail. I see a purple going to a turquoise to a light green to a little gold. Very multi-chromey, if you will. And it has a very smooth formula. The first one was a bit flaky. The other two are smoother. Next is Giraffe, this one right here. Also a slightly flaky formula. This is, again, kind of similar, like a blue-purple base with green and gold reflects on top. These are quite similar. Next we have Low Crown over here. I don't see a multichrome shift in this. This is more of a duochrome as far as I can tell. It has a lilac base with a gold reflect on top. So we're done with the first row, and these are very light shades, all in the purple blue family with gold, yellow, green kind of reflects. If I had to describe these so far, these are pastel multichromes. These are not iridescents. I don't know where I read this, but maybe the brand described it as iridescent multichromes. These are not iridescents. Iridescents have a completely transparent base. This I would describe as more of a pastel multichrome, so they have very light pastel colored bases with the multicolor shift on top. Next shade is this one. This is a blue-purple multichrome, and the one next to it looks kind of very similar, if not the same. Let's compare the two. Oh my, they're so similar. Look at these two. One on the top is more lilac with a light blue base. So it has a light blue base with a lilac pinky kind of sheen on top. Whereas the one next to it has a more brighter purple reflect. But I think the base color, the blue, is kind of the same. So it's just a matter of one being a little paler and one being a little more bright purple in terms of the shift. Next is this shade. These tend to look very interesting in the pan, but when actually applied, they are a little underwhelming in my experience. I'm gonna have to swirl it around, so let's see. It kind of made a champagne-leaning pink color with maybe a little bit of blue reflect showing on camera. The next two are greens. Let's swatch them together. One is light, one is dark. One thing to note is you have to build them up. I will try them on the eyes in a little bit and see how they perform. Wow, I think I found my favorite so far. It's the green at the bottom. This is a minty kind of green shimmer, and this is that warm green to a cool green shifting multichrome, but this is very shiny. I wouldn't call it a pastel multichrome. This is quite vibrant. Mid-tone. The upper one is a silvery minty one. I think it has a mint base with a white shimmer on top. If there is a shift, it's kind of subtle. I must say the last row intrigues me the most. Let's try this orange kind of shade. Orange shifting to a peach to a green. This is what it looks like. This is also gorgeous. Not as pastely as the other ones. Let's try these two together. These are light pastel shades as well. This one is on the top, this one is in the middle, and this one is at the bottom. Here are the swatches. These are beautiful. The middle one that shows up kind of green in the pan is called Paradoxical. This has a green base and it shifts pink, orange, and gold. And the one called Cindo that shows up kind of like a periwinkle kind of shade in the pan also has a pink to gold to green sort of shift. These are beautiful. On the hand, the shifts look kind of similar. I kind of doubt that you'd be able to tell the difference on the eyes because again they have that pastel base. The last two shades are pinks, which I am particularly curious about. This bright pink, another flaky formula, very flaky. So you have to smooth them out on the skin. Like this. Look at that. It's flaky, but it's very shiny, very reflective. This is a pink to a green to a gold reflect. Last shade of the palette is another pink, although lighter in shade and has a smooth formula. Fairly smooth, not completely. This is kind of a common multichrome. The last one here. It's a medium pink base with blue to green kind of shift. And I see some gold in there as well at the side. Those are the swatches. So I have primed my lids and let's get into the eye look. I'm going to only be using this palette and nothing else. So it's going to be an all shimmer look. Going in with this shade called Tiger Tail. Just on the inner 1/3. Let's try this one next. Called Cindo. I feel like I haven't seen a lot of these type of multichromes. The two that I just used. These are a very smooth formula. And they're quite nice. Let's use this, a fairly bright blue, on the outer third. Whoa, that showed up way brighter than expected. So these three showed up quite well. I think the tacky base will definitely help with these, so keep that in mind when applying them. Let's move on to the other eye. I want to try the ones that I was not initially drawn to, so we can see how they look on the eyes. Let's try this mint green kind of shade called False Eye. Mint green with a silvery reflect. That is pretty. Let's do Paradoxical here. That's a beautiful pastel light green with a pink shimmer. Wow, that's beautiful. Very shiny, very, very reflective. Let's do this purpley shade in the corner called long crown. For this one, I didn't see any multi-chrome shift, but it's a nice purple to a gold. Looks purple in the pan, but on the eyes it looks gold. So this was a pretty straightforward application. I wanted to see whether these would perform the same on the eyes as they did in the swatches, and it does seem like it. Let's put some of those flaky shades on top and see what happens. The one I want to dig into is this one right here, the bright pink. It's going to look a little weird, but let's just put it here so you can see what the formula is like. I'm going to build it up a little with the finger. Ooh. This is how it should be done on the lid, not the brow bone. But I just wanted to see the color. Gorgeous. The pink really shows. Next, I want to use the shade Giraffe from these flakier shades. Let's try this out here. Let's build it up with a finger. Beautiful gold reflect. I want to try soft coral as well. Let's just put a little bit here. It's showing up as such a vibrant yellow gold. You can see it here. Beautiful. No sign of the pink though. Let's do big belly for the other side. This is also a smooth formula. Beautiful blue-purple kind of shade. I think it has a green sort of base. Let me complete the rest and I will be back with some thoughts. So this is how everything is looking. It looks like there has been like an explosion of color on my eyes, and I love it. Knowing me, I would probably just go out like this, even though this was less of a look and more of a try on of as many shades as possible to check whether they perform on the eyes as well as I want. On my cheeks, I'm wearing the Stella palette. This I also had in my stash and I hadn't used it, and this turned out to be quite beautiful on the cheeks as well. So that I'm happy with. About the palette. So there are a variety of textures in here. There are some very flaky formulas, like this pink one in the bottom row, and then this one called Giraffe in the top one. These two I see as the most flakiest. Then there is this one called Soft Coral in the corner, this one, and Courtship in the top corner. These two are also flaky, but to a lesser extent than the previous two I mentioned. The rest are quite smooth multichromes, and they look very reflective and gorgeous on the eyes, so no complaints there. The outside of the palette is beautiful as well. I have my Adept stash here with me. All of those. And I think packaging wise, this is the one I like the most. It has like a color gradient going on. Anywho, in terms of the formulas, I like them. I'm not sure which ones I prefer more, the flakier ones because they have more color payoff, or the pastely smooth ones. They're easier to apply, very user friendly. Now, my main point of contention is the price. I actually commented on one of their videos asking why is the price of this one $140 whereas the Arrow inspired palette was only $69. Their exact words were, Arrow palette contains 6 multichromes, this palette has 14, priced at $9 each. This is the lowest possible price that we can do. If we can't meet your pricing requirements, then I'm truly sorry, blah blah blah. So $14 at 9 each is $126, which is the price of the palette if you apply an affiliate code. Now, what they did was, which was a little bit weird, they did like 2 early releases, and people who signed up for the email newsletter got this chance to purchase the palette early with a 20% discount. With the 20% discount, this was $112. If that was the lowest price they could do at 126, at 112, were they losing money? I'm not sure what the story is there. This is a gorgeous palette, and yes, multichromes can be expensive, but people have been alarmed at the price increases for their recent 2 launches, which is, where is that tiny palette? Okay, there it is, sandwiched between 2 palettes. Which was this one, the Catracel White, which was priced at $68, which I don't necessarily think it's worth the price. This one is beautiful, but would I pay $140 for this? At $112, it seems okay, but still it's a lot. It's a lot for an eyeshadow palette. It's a lot for colored powder, as some people say, that you put on during the day and wipe off at night. I mean, I want to interject here with an eyeshadow palette from Sugar Drizzle called the Sugar Dreams palette, which I think could make a good replacement for the Seahorse palette from Adept Cosmetics. It has many of the same shades, the same light pastel-y tones, and the colors are significantly different from each other, unlike the Seahorse palette, which has some similar shades. If you think that the Seahorse palette is too big or too repetitive, or too expensive, this one can serve the same purpose. Currently, it's out of stock on the Sugar Drizzle website, but Sugar Drizzle does frequent restocks. So you might keep an eye out for that if you don't own it already. It is $46 comparing to the $140 of Adept Cosmetics. According to the website, this has 4 special shimmers and the rest are duochromes, whereas I can clearly see from the swatches that Candy Clouds, Yum Yum, and Let's Eat Cake are multichromes with more than 2 to 3 shifts. If the palette is not your preference and or you might want to pick up only a few of the colors, might I recommend Clionadh Cosmetics Glitter Multichromes, which are affordable comparatively, as well as have some of the tones similar to the Seahorse palette from Adept Cosmetics. You can see my top picks on the screen here. This brand is Toronto based, so if you're living in Canada, this would be a good option, but I'm not sure what the charges are for shipping to the US and others. Now they say that the Arrow inspired palette had only 6 multichromes. So let's see. Let me count the color shifting shades here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yep, it has 6 multichromes. I was under the impression that all of these were multichromes, but these 2 here, this one here, and this green here, these are duochromes. I can tell they don't have more than 1 shift. So yeah. It is a beautiful palette, but I'm torn. I don't think I can recommend it at $140 price tag, but I hope they do some sales on it in the future because customers did seem a little upset that it was going to be out of the price range of many people. But Adept is known to bring nice multichrome formulas in a palette format, because if you buy all these individually as singles, they will be very pricey. This is another one of my favorites, the Heather Austin palette. I love this one. This used to be my go-to in the summer of 22. I'm still torn I can't recommend it wholeheartedly. Maybe if it was a little cheaper, I'd say if you can't afford it right away, maybe wait for a sale because they did say that they made enough stock. Another thing to take into account is, of course, your makeup preferences. If you don't wear these kind of sparkly pastel multichromes often enough, this won't be a worthy investment at all. Overall, I think I'm okay with this palette for now. I will have to make enough use of it, hopefully. For some reason, I don't end up using my Adept palettes as much as I'd like, so I'm going to try and use more of this and hopefully do a follow-up review as well. One drawback of ordering from Adept is the customs and duties charged and the shipper fees. So on this palette, my total fees were $33 and 23 of them were customs and duties, whereas $10 were the shipper's own fees. I think it was FedEx, I believe. Do with that information what you will. That's just an indie brand thing, I guess, for many indie brands. Not all, but many. But at least shipping was free on this palette. That is it for now. I actually like this kind of glitter fairy vibes. I can't stop looking in the mirror or the viewfinder. So I think I like this. That is all I had planned for today. For tomorrow, I have another exciting release to try on, and I will see you then. Bye now.